Hello, welcome to Fan Made, the show where we talk to some of the most exciting names in the sports entertainment world who are diehard passionate fans just like you and me. Today I have the honor of speaking to Jordan Simpson, who you might know from seeing him on social media, making his Mets, bringing his musical skills along with the sports fandom, combining the two, and you see him with some of his Meet the Mets songs and other classic creations. And Jordan, thanks so much for coming on, man. I appreciate you joining me today.
And thanks for having me. Happy opening day.
The show centers around going to games. My first question everybody have on is, do you remember the first game you went to and any, memories around that?
Man. I feel like the first games I went to, I definitely don't remember. It was definitely back in like Shea where I went with my family, but just I wasn't like aware enough to take in the fact that that was my first game. But I mean, I was definitely very, very young. I think when I first remember like actually going to games on like a regular basis because I enjoyed it, it was probably when I was in like second grade. It was when I was like, okay, I want to go to baseball games, and we would go. So that was kind of like when I began to like enjoy knowingly going to baseball games, you know,
Oh, that's yeah, no, that's awesome. And did like you play baseball growing up at all, or like was
20. Yeah.
yeah, no, I'm sure that definitely, in my case, same thing goes for me too. Like I'm sure that, gives you a little extra motivation to, you know, want to appreciate the game and follow the game. And when you started going to games, was that, I'm guessing we're likely around the same age. Was that around like, the early like 2000, like when they were in the World Series, it was a little later?
That was around like say 2007, 2006, 2000, no, 2007. Yeah,
Okay, so it
2007
was
ish.
right, midway, like David Wright and all those
David Wright,
guys.
Jose, yeah,
Jose Reyes, Beltran.
Beltran, those guys.
Yeah, no, those are exciting teams to watch. Even as a Yankee fan, I definitely appreciated watching those guys. And
Hmm.
you know, and and next question: what's the most out of all the games you've been to? What's like the most exciting? Like, have there been any like exciting like sport memories you've seen, like on a playoff game, World Series game, or even just like something where like a record was broken or whatever?
So I think the first one definitely has to be Johan's no hitter. I was at that one.
Oh,
So
nice.
that one was something.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the pace of the game, you kind of forgot that he didn't give up a hit because he was giving up a lot of walks, and it wasn't
Mhm.
like a crisp game to really begin with until you got to the fifth. Like, wait, he hasn't given up a hit yet, but we didn't say anything. But you didn't
Yeah,
know
no,
it
you
if you
can't.
didn't look at the score. But that one's definitely. I think also kind of what was next to that was the game 2 years ago when it was DeGrom against the Dodgers, and there was the Nimmo catch, and he robbed Justin Turner, and then they came back and Timmy Trumpet came out because that was like a whole oh my gosh, that was
Okay.
the catch when he because where I was in the Pepsi porch or the Coca-Cola corner. It's not the Pepsi porch anymore, but when I saw it was like in slow motion when Brandon caught it. I kind of just I couldn't really see where he was because there were a lot of people there, but all I can just remember seeing was just his arm extend over the fence and just the ball not going over the wall and him bringing it back. And like I was just frozen. I was like, what just happened? And I couldn't really see the whole thing until they showed the replay on the Jumbotron. And everybody went crazy just watching it again. That was special.
Yeah, that's always fun. Like when when they you see it live and you're not 100% sure if you caught it or something has. And when they show it on the scoreboard and the jumbotron, everybody just goes like I feel like that's like almost like reliving it.
Oh,
And
100%, 100%.
yeah, especially when you're watching in the stadium too. And you know, with that in mind, granted I'm a Yankee fan, but I'll be the first to tell you I love City Field, and
Mm-hmm.
I think City Field's hate controversially for a Yankee fan to say, I think it's better than the current Yankee Stadium. And you know, with that in mind, like, what's your kind of like favorite spot? Like when you go to a Met game, like what's your like kind of like go to? It's like go to like food order, like some tips and traditions you have there.
I tend to I like to get there when the gates open just because I like to walk around the park and like not feel like it's just congested. Like if they're taking batting practice, I just like sitting in the outfield and just watching, just being a spectator. Like I just like just sitting there, just watching the ball off the bat. And then also, if you're hungry, get food then. This way, you don't have to worry about the lines building up as it gets more crowded. But there's the Caesar's Sportsbook area that's like up in the left field corner. Like I've seen it there before, but I've never gone until this year. And I was like, oh, that's a nice spot to just go because you can at least look down on the field and be able to like see the field during batting practice and then eat. So that's also, that was a fun one. But yeah, I'm very basic just in general. So like a hot dog and fries, I'm totally okay with that. So like I'm not like a fancy, even though I know this year there's new food there, so I have to check on that. So, but
Yeah, no, it's
I'm not like a the polar burger, which is like every single topping on a burger. That's like
oh yeah,
overwhelming
yeah,
to
yeah.
me. So, but
Yeah, no,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
I'm with you there. Like, yeah, I do like to try new stuff, but sometimes you just like to keep it simple and
yeah.
can't go wrong in a baseball game with a hot dog and a beer. Like, or yeah, so
Keep it
it's just
simple.
like sometimes when you keep it simple, it's always the best
Hmm.
to go with that too. And you know, growing up a Met fan, like who were like, because you mentioned obviously David Wright and Jose and Beltran and Santana. Like who, like do you remember the first like Mets jersey you bought like as a or like some or received as a kid or like
The
that you
first
were like most.
one I've gotten was a Jose Reyes jersey. And then I know since like I had a Jose Reyes one, I had an Ike Davis jersey when
Oh
he first
wow, they're
came up.
bringing
So
it
that's like
back.
a deeper cut. But when he
Yeah,
first
no,
came up, he was like
yeah,
you
no, he was
almost
the
saw that he
man.
was the real deal going
Mm.
forward. Um, but you have to have a right jersey, obviously. But I say Jose was definitely my first one.
Was Jose your favorite player growing up, or
Yeah. I just
yeah,
loved
no, he
watching
was.
him just run the bases, get the triple, steal bases. Just so
Oh
fun to
yeah, yeah.
watch.
He could do it all, and he was yeah, like you said, like he was fun. Yeah, don't get me wrong, Wright was great too, but Reyes had that like he was doing all, and he had that electricity too. Like he was,
Just the
you could
flair
tell he
he
was just
had.
having fun with it too.
Right.
And he's another guy too who's after he retired had a music career a little bit too. Like and so like as somebody who both like is a diehard baseball fan but also has like a music background. Like, I'm sure you might have a little more appreciation of that too. And getting into that, like how did that come to be? Like obviously very like talented with music from what I loved all your content and what made you want to like combine the Mets and also like your music background too and create the songs like the Meet the Mets remix. And,
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of. I had a point last year heading into the season where like, I was kind of because I've been doing a lot of music content just in general, but at a
Mhm.
certain point, I was like, I want to do something that's just different. When baseball season was coming around, and even just in the off season, like I love baseball. I love talking baseball. I love everything about like if I'm not doing music, I'm watching baseball. I'm listening to baseball podcasts. I'm studying. Like I'm really those are my two like, main things, and I wanted to get into the content world, so maybe I'll do a podcast. But there are also a lot of podcasts going on right now. So do I want to try to force my way into that realm? Like, what's something that I can do that's kind of different? That's kind of like me. How can I combine like music and baseball within one thing? And I had a bunch of different ideas, but then I decided, you know what? For opening day last year, I did the SNY themes. Like, let me just put that together. I didn't think much of it. I just did it, and then that blew up. So it's like, okay, maybe we're on to something here. And so I did a couple of things here and there, trying to figure out what stuck and what people enjoyed. And I figured out I just threw out between doing jingles with the Jingle Man and then doing like the
Yeah.
series recaps and whatnot, all those things. I think it's been a lot of fun because it's a lot of work, but at the same time, it's two things that I love the most and having fun with it. And people seem to enjoy it, so it's great.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, it's impressive that you're able to combine your love of baseball, but also, with the music too. And that's crazy how you didn't think that it would blow up the way it did. Because, like, as soon as you put that out, like John Boy was sharing that every, like, ESPN, Barstool, everything was, everybody, all the major sports social media outlets were sharing that. And goes to show, like, who would have, like, just something you thought is simple would blow up that crazily. And
Yeah.
again, like, yeah, you mentioned your collaborations, with fan like correct me if I'm wrong, his name is like the fan man, like he's got like the big afro
Oh,
and
Jingle Man,
Jingle
Jingle
Man.
Man. Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, with the and yeah, no, you guys, did he reach out to like you? Like, did you know him personally? Like, how did that collaboration?
I've watched I've seen his content before, so I knew who he was.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
he it was like during I think it was like May or June of last year. I think it was May. And he did I forgot what video that he did. And then Athlete Logos commented, you should do like a jingle for like let the kids play. It's like Marvin Gaye or something. And
yeah.
so he did that. And so he just made his own thing. So I was like, you know what? bet I'm gonna put music behind it. And I just did it for fun. Then that again just did very, very well. So it's like, okay, maybe there's something there between me and him too. And so that's kind of where it began for the two of us.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Do we expect? Should we expect any more content between the two of you this season, or
Plenty.
yeah, cool. Can't wait. Can't wait. I saw definitely a bunch of off-season stuff too with the, Harry Bader,
Yeah.
Harrison Bader, and all the Mania. And yeah, no, you guys are very talented, but also very funny and very, current as well too. I'm sure all baseball fans, myself included, love seeing stuff like that. And it's even better now that you tell me that you didn't really expect it to blow up the way it did, which is even
No.
more impressive. And yeah, and if one more question I had, like hypothetically, if you could go to, let's just say a Met game, if you go to, let's say a Met game and you had, you know, four seat tickets in a suite, you bring three people. This could be literally anybody, alive, dead, famous, not famous. Who are you? Which game are you going to, and who are you bringing with you?
Oh boy. Uh it really depends on like how I'm feeling. I feel like if I want it to be like a thing where I'm talking baseball with people, that's different than just hanging out with people. So that I feel like
Yeah.
there's like a difference. I feel like if I'm talking baseball, I would love to watch a game. I think Adam Ottavino I'd love to watch a game with. He's just so smart. Like
Yes.
I would love to just watch a game and just like pick his brain, just hear him talk about like everything. Just watching him on SNY, he's like very, very smart. Like him, Trevor May would be up there. Um, and hmm, wow, there's one spot left. That's a tough one,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I think maybe from like a hitter side, maybe Upper Pujols.
Oh wow.
I
Yeah.
feel
No,
like just
for
having
sure.
like a brain trust of like guys that kind of will go back and forth and like figure out what the mindset of the hitter is and the pitcher and the plan of attack and what he sees and all that stuff. That would be fun.
It would be. And like you said, you get some smart baseball minds in there who can break down both sides of the game. And we mentioned before, Vino is, he's very, even on the mound, you see like he's very smart about how, like, he's very calculated. And even when he was pitching for the Yankees, I always said like the way he threw his slide, it almost like looked like effortless, like how, like, almost like he was throwing a frisbee or something,
It
like
really
very,
does.
he would get guys
Yeah.
out, but he wasn't really like, like he made it look so easy and so effortless, but he was able to strike guys out, and that made it even more impressive to watch for sure.
Yeah.
And you know, granted, you've been to plenty of Met games, but have you been to any other baseball like cities with baseball with state baseball teams? And can you describe like what your the favorite one you've been to, and like which city had the best vibe to it?
Yeah. I want to go to a lot more. I've been to obviously City. I've been to Yankee Stadium. I've been to Citizens Bank Park in Philly. I've been
Yep.
to Fenway and Nationals Park. Yeah. I mean, they're all nice in their own respects. I feel like I don't know. I mean, obviously I love City Field. That's like my home
Of
ballpark,
course.
but I feel like there's something very nice about just the feel of Fenway, just like the old fashioned kind of vibe of like it just being historic and like it's been a bit modernized, but not to the point where it loses the charm of it being like a vintage stadium in a way.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, I agree. And
but
I
I
feel like it's
do love,
very fan friendly as well too.
yeah, Philly is nice though. Even though I
It
hate
is.
the Phillies, it is nice. But
Yeah,
yeah,
no, their stadium's great too. And it kind of reminds, I mean, might hurt to hear as a Met fan, but it kind of reminds me of City Field a little bit too in the way it's designed, and just like the sight lines as well too, and the way it's built a little bit reminds me of City Field in a sense.
yeah,
And yeah, no, you mentioned, going to those cities, but out of all this could be a Met, it could be a opposing player. Like, who's one player like you've watched and live and have just been like blown away by how it doesn't even have to be like, the most like just by like how much like an all-star, just like one player like you've watched and you've just been blown away by how good, like how talented he was, like great watching him live, or
Jacob DeGrom.
Jacob DeGrom. Yeah, good call.
I feel like anytime I had the opportunity to see him in person, I did. Even if I couldn't make it to the game, I made it a point to be at the TV. If I had a gig, I would follow and watch the whole game after. Like it was just you never knew what he was going to do on a given night on the mound because he was just like that electric. Like when you're in, it's crazy when you're at a game because with social media and technology nowadays, like you can easily just be on your phone. But at a Mets game with Jacob DeGrom on the mound, nobody moves. Phones are down. When he's done, people get up, go to the bathroom, they go on their phone, get a beer or whatever. But when he's on the mound, it's like everybody's locked because you never know. You really never know what he was going to do. And I mean, I've been to a few of his games where he just makes it look so easy. And the easy like 98 to 102, where it's just like, dude, how? You know? But like it is seriously, even though it's unfortunate, and like I'll always be a fan of his, even though like yeah, it sucks that he's not here anymore. But still one
Yeah.
of my favorite players
Yeah,
ever.
no, for sure. And I hope he can bounce back and
Yeah.
stay healthy. And because that's, as because like you said, he's another one made it look effortlessly, and he was just so dominant for so. And I kind of wish he, stay with the Mets his whole career. But I do hope at least like he didn't pitch in it, but I'm glad he, got a ring last year, and I hope he can, continue to pitch well for Texas, and because he's a good dude and he's a great pitcher, and I want him to bounce back so badly. He was definitely one that's fun to watch for sure, and yeah, and one last question, you know, if you were to talk to somebody who's never been to City Field and like is going to their first Mets game, hypothetically, like what, are some kind of like tips or like some advice you give them before going to a game just to like
As a baseball fan
as
or
a, yeah,
just
let's just say like somebody's going Met fan going to their first game, or yeah, just what are like some tips and tricks you kind of tell them.
hmm, I would probably just say like get to the ballpark early and just give yourself time to just enjoy walking around, go to the different shops, the museums, the Hall of Fame area. Like just get there just so you can explore because there's a lot to City Field that you don't realize that's there if you show up at 6:50 for a 7:10
Yeah.
game and you have that 20 minutes to go to the bathroom because you haven't gone in the car ride and then to get some food or something and then you get to your seat and then it's kind of you're there and the game is going on. But really just to get there, enjoy it, and try new things. Each time I go there, I try to do something or see something that I haven't seen, even though I'm there all the time. So that's very, very hard. But at least just you go there and you just walk around and you never know. Uh, and even because there is a lot of food, it's very easy if you're somebody who gets overwhelmed by all the options, then I would just look ahead of time and look at the options that are there. So you kind of can figure out what you want to do and just map it out that way. So you're not like walking around in circles and okay, wait, I want to go back to that place. That's on the third floor or in
Yeah.
the first floor
Yeah.
in the right field corner, all that stuff. But yeah,
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, it is definitely a lot, especially, in the beginning. But like you said, once you know where everything kind of is and like you gotta feel for it. And you do have a good point about there being a lot to do for in City Field. Like that museum is just awesome. Like I've definitely been there early, just looking through. You could spend, hours there just before the game, just, scoping it out. And there's is a lot to do other than just like, watching the game, which clearly is why you're there. But still, like, there's definitely a lot more going on in City Field, and it's definitely appreciative, and it's definitely going to be fun going there this year. And yeah, since today this as recording it is opening day and the Mets play tomorrow, what's just give me a prediction how you feeling the Mets are going to look this year? Just
better than people think. I'm
okay.
not saying that they're going to win the division at all. I'm just saying that they're going to be a team that's going to be better than the projections may say. I think the biggest question mark is just the starting pitching. I think the bullpen is deeper than it has been. Adding JD Martinez all of a sudden makes the lineup look very, very scary. Where I kind of look at it more of like a very 2022-ish lineup where it kind of keeps moving, but with more power, which is kind of scary to think about because now you have Alonso, Lindor, Alvarez, and JD Martinez who are capable of hitting 30 plus home runs in the same lineup, which you have not had that kind of power in the Mets lineup in a while. Not to mention Nimmo can hit 20,
Yeah.
so it's like it's definitely exciting. I'm excited for the season just to begin, but I think they can definitely push or really just be in a spot for the wild card because 2015, no expectations. A lot of the great years that they've had, nobody really expected much of them. So I think this is going to be a year where you head into it and they know that people aren't really having that much faith. I'm like, yeah, they're on the fringe. They can maybe make a push, and they'll be like, okay, watch. And then before you know it, if you get to the deadline and they're in a decent spot, I wouldn't be shocked if David Stern's ads. And for the first time in like almost forever, you actually have a lot of prospects that are actually good that can make an impact this year, which we have not had in a while. So that is the internal depth where you can make additions without having to make a trade and to give up to get. It's a different kind of vibe, but I think this is going to be a fun year, exciting year, and I think it's going to be a shocking year for a lot of people in a good way.
Yeah, no, it's I definitely can see that, and if they stay healthy, I think all things could go well for them for sure. I think that's the key thing, and getting Diaz back is a big
Yeah,
help in the bullpen too. And again, staying healthy. If they could all stay healthy, if all goes best case scenario, you have four power hitters like you mentioned before, and even Nimmo too. Is another power hitter too. And I think if everybody stays healthy, I think they definitely could make some noise, make it happen this year. And yeah, and there you have it. He's Jordan Simpson. He's fan made. But Jordan, before you go, I just want to, if you could just let the people know where to find you on social media or anything you have up coming up in the pipeline.
yeah, you can find me on all socials at JR Simpson Music on TikTok, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, and and Instagram as well. If you want to listen to my personal music, you can look me up on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever at Jordan Simpson, my name. And yeah, a lot of stuff's in the works, so stay tuned.
Great, great. Can't wait to check it out. Thanks, Jordan, for joining me today. And yeah, and I appreciate everybody listening today. And you can please give us a follow, like, subscribe on Instagram and YouTube at fan_made_podcast, on X or Twitter at fanmade with LP, and also check us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And we will see you next time.